topics, and Brendan is going to do it. Brendan wrote, I like mystery suspense authors of a wide range, modern Robert Parker to classic Agatha Christie. I like a mystery because when I pick one up, I'm looking for something to read, then I can't wait to finish it to see what happens next, and then I can't wait for the next book by the same author as soon as the current mystery is solved. I enjoy filling my need to read. Brendan.
So my response to the theme was apropos to my version of tabletop, which is to say I can't settle on one book. So because I spent my life struggling to read relatively quickly, I mean less than a dozen books I was assigned during a school year up until I was about 16 years old was very difficult to get through for me because I read so slowly, and I enjoyed the books, but I did not enjoy finishing the books as well as I could have, especially if when it comes to an exam times, like what happened at the end of the book. Well, I could get about 90% on a test because I finished about 90% of the book by the time the test came. So, but that's in the past. All my questions are only based on sort of just a more general love of reading. I was fortunate to, before I finished high school and went to college, read very fast, and now the challenge is to find something that's so interesting I want to slow down when I read, which is kind of ironic. But now we have a guest, so I must explain tabletop for the benefit of the guest. I will call members without roles first, and then guests have the choice to listen first and participate second. So I remember being a guest when I was so nervous, and it's really your priority is to listen and really sort of take in the meeting in general. And if you want to participate, it is optional. It is not required. And the other goal of tabletop is to try to reach 1 minute in the answer that you provide, whether you answer the question directly or indirectly. And I will now get to the questions with the red card showing. So my first question is, I've read famous authors or biographers, including David McCullough of John Adams, which I love, and also Walter Isaacson of Benjamin Franklin, to read more biographies. So my first question is, has the style of book made you eager to read more of the same type of book? So I will search the room for someone who doesn't have a role, and I see Harvey. Do you have a role for this meeting?
No,
Would you like to answer the question, has a style of book that made you eager for more of the same type of book?
Well, yeah. I started reading biographies, and I think the first one that made a real impression on me recently was the book about Grant. And for the life of me, the name of the author doesn't come to mind. But I thought that book was remarkable. And Grant is a very remarkable character that totally underestimated, both as a military genius and also as president. So that book put me on to a whole series of books that concerns heroes of the Civil War, and biographies of these great generals, of Lincoln, and also of Reconstruction, which to me is a fascinating history and very formative in the whole history of the United States.
several weeks at times because I'm too busy to read a book, which is crazy, but it's true. I actually feel I've neglected books like they're like neglecting a friend. Have you ever felt like you missed a book, like you missed a friend? Reading has that much reward for you as like seeing a friend. So for Aline, would you like to try that one? Have you ever missed reading books like you missed a friend? Have you ever felt that?
Well, am I supposed to have this? There's no.
No, we have no
Okay, well, I'm noisy.
microphones today.
So that's an interesting question because it makes me feel guilty because mostly what I wind up reading is professional books and I don't have this joyful feeling that, oh, I can't wait to read this professional book. I more feel like, oh, here are these 5 or 10 books I should be reading for various clients. So I can't really say that I feel the question made me feel sad that I don't feel like that. I don't feel like, oh, I desperately wish that I could read it. The best books I read are books that I am assigned by my book club, and it's an interesting book club. It's a Workmen's Circle book club. That's a very progressive Jewish organization. So the most fun books I've been reading have all been books that are assigned by that book club. And I think my favorite one was a book on Louis Kahn. Do you know who he is? Louis Kahn is an architect who, I love his architecture. He works with natural light, but he also had this very quirky life where he had 3 different families. He was basically, he didn't marry the other 2, but he was a bigamist. So anyways, that was the most enjoyable book. And I think the most interesting books I've read are books about famous people who've had quirky lives, like various architects. So that's it.
One more. Yes. So I'm going to ask the timer, Julie, would you like to answer one? Because there aren't many people left who don't have a role, and
Does Dinesh have a role?
the timer doesn't have a speaking role.
Oh, Julie hasn't spoken.
Isn't Dinesh an evaluator? Oh, no, that's next week. Dinesh doesn't have a role. You're right, thank you. We're correcting that. All right, sorry. Oh, that's
Dinesh, let's hear from Dinesh.
That was disingenuous, wasn't it? I so apologize. Next, if you have time. Okay, so the next question is, I have found films of books to give me sort of mixed feelings about whether I want to see the film of a book or not, because sometimes they don't quite translate into what I imagined the book would look like when I was reading it. So, have you ever seen a film where it made you appreciate or made you have a different feeling about the book you were reading, a film of a book, or films of a that made you feel different about the book you read or the film? Like you liked the film was great, or you didn't, or disappointed about anything about the difference between the film and the book?
Yeah, unfortunately, no, for the reasons that I don't read books. I'm a minority here. I do understand most of you like books. Is it because of either priority or I just don't like reading books? In the past 20 years or so, I just read one book, and it's because my wife forced reading a book called Kite Runner. Yeah, I see that when you read books, you get to connect with the author. You get to see the different perspective that person has on life or imagination. You get to connect. The more you read, the more you connect with the people. Unfortunately, I don't read books. My daughter, who is 8, she reads books really a lot. A 500-page book she can finish in 3 days. Then I said, okay, you take over, you read for me. And also, I do read articles once in a while from people. Being a scientist, I don't get biased. When I see the influential books, I somehow put myself out there that I'm not going to be influenced. I see what his or her point of view, and then try to see if there is something new. I just take it. But there are lots of people who write wonderful things. Hopefully, someday in my life, I get time to read as many books as all of you are reading. Thank you.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for participating in table topic.
Thank you, Brendan. Very, very interesting. Now we have the speech evaluations. And the first speech evaluation will be